Hey, Glovelies, and welcome back to Glove Actually. I'm Courtney.
I'm Hallie.
And I'm Melissa.
And this week, it's our Father's Day episode. We have lots to talk about. Later, we will be joined by yet another 90s icon. We are so excited to chat with Danny Tamberelli, who you probably remember from some of your nostalgic 90s favorites from film and television. But today, he's a devoted husband and father. And since it's the tail end of hockey season, we're going to chat about Danny's favorite sport and then also working to talk about his favorite MLB team, the New York Mets. But as always, if there's anything you want us to talk about here on the podcast, be sure to leave it in the comments and be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to the Glove Actually podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to turn on post notifications to stay in the loop when we post new episodes every Wednesday. All right, ladies, let's kick things off as always with our Pookies of the week. Melissa, who's your Pookie of the week this week?
This week, my Pookie is Francis Hernandez of the Cosmic Chili Peppers, which is first cosmic baseball team ever established. It was established in 2021, and crazy enough, it is located in Colonial Heights, which is not far from where I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. It's crazy. But my new favorite reels to watch are Francis with several of his teammates called English Words / Phrases with Francis. They give him a word in English, and his teammates stand behind him with their mouths full of water, trying not to bust out laughing while he mispronounces the words. And that's to his credit. He gets a lot of them right or pretty damn close. But when he does mess up, it is hilarious. And my favorite part is always at the end of the clip when there is a curse word that he clearly knows well and has no trouble pronouncing. So they're really funny videos. So Francis, I appreciate your willingness to participate and your ability to laugh at yourself. You and your fellow Chili Peppers have made me laugh so much this season with these videos, especially on days where it has been hard for me to get into the MLB season because as an Orioles fan, I'm a little jaded. And just so everyone knows, they do flip the script on these. There have been several videos where the American players try and read the Spanish words, but they butcher the Spanish words. They don't read them as well as Francis. So anyways, that's who my Pookie of the week is.
Hallie, who's your Pookie of the week this week?
My Pookie this week is Tony Award winner Joshua Henry. This one happened very recently and all I can think about is that it is, if you don't know what the Tony Awards are, it is kind of like the World Series of New York theater, and I am so happy that Joshua Henry finally won a Tony. He is someone whose career I've been following for a long time, and Courtney was lucky enough to see him in Into the Woods a couple years ago, and I'll never not be jealous about that.
That is my big flex.
But yay, Joshua Henry!
Yay! Absolutely. I think Joshua Henry definitely deserved that win. Also, shout out to Pink for an absolutely amazing opening number. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yeah, I said this to Courtney as I was rewatching highlights the next morning. Anyone who had doubts about Pink hosting and is now demanding she do a run in Chicago or do something on the stage, you're fake. Because the real ones knew that she was going to do a really good job. I think she knows what she's doing because her career at this point is doing flips on a wire while singing live. So
it's true.
She's going to do a good job.
Absolutely. 100%. So this week, I got to give my Pookie of the week to Paul Skeens. So the Pirates had an off day on June 8th, and Paul Skeens was driving around Pittsburgh during dusk, and he happened upon some little leaguers that were finishing up a practice or a game, and he just stopped to hang out with them completely unannounced. He took pictures. He even played catch with them, which I'm sorry, if I am 8 years old playing Little League and Paul Skeens shows up and I get to play catch with him, sorry, Joshua Henry, that would be my biggest flex. That's all I can say about that. But the fact that he did that just absolutely melted my heart. So someone like Paul Skeens, knowing how much of a star player and how much of a celebrity profile he has, it just makes me so happy knowing that he's just down to go and hang out and make some kids' days. And of course, this is on top of the fact that he's like the most insanely talented pitcher in baseball right now. So Paul Skeens, that's right. You're my Pookie of the week this week. Say hi to Livy for me.
I'm glad you did it because if you weren't going to say it, I was going to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really starting to come out of his shell, and I really appreciate that. So he's my Pookie this week. All right, Lovelies, we want to hear from you. Who is your Pookie of the week this week? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to tag your Pookie if you can. So Millennials, 90s kids, you are going to love this one. So this week we are joined by Danny Tamberelli, who you might know better from some nostalgic favorites like The Mighty Ducks, but he was also a staple of the 90s experience, starring in shows like The Adventures of Pete and Pete and all that on Nickelodeon, and also lending his voice, don't forget, to the Magic School Bus. So Danny has evolved quite a bit over the years. He's a devoted husband and father these days. He has a sick band, awesome podcast, and also writes novels with his wife, Caitlin. So, Danny, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, man, that was a lovely intro. Hi, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
My sister-in-law, Lauren, says hello.
Hi, Lauren.
She's pushing all of her Phillies good vibes out into the world right now as we speak.
Yes. So we were connected with Danny via Lauren, who was our Phillies representative for our divisional roundtable series. So shout out Lauren for connecting us. This is truly a dream come true. You guys did not hear, but I was gushing like 15 minutes ago about how I used to watch Danny on TV every single day as a kid. So it's true. I'm screaming on the inside. You guys just can't hear it.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. So, Danny, I would love to talk to you about all your favorite sports, all your favorite teams, what you've been up to, and what passions you followed as an adult. And then Hallie's going to give you a rapid fire quiz, and then we're going to get your hot takes on our top 5 for this week. Does that sound good?
That all sounds wonderful. I'm ready for it.
Perfect. Okay, so first things first, we've got to know, who is your Pookie of the week this week?
Oh, my Pookie of the week this week. Well, as a New York Metropolitans fan, it's always a tough year for the most part. But we find things, we find ways, we find we took 2 from the Yankees. That's our World Series. We're feeling good. I must say, a man who goes 5 for 5. Oh, anybody, a woman too, whoever. I just haven't seen the 5 for 5 except watching Carson Bench. And so he's my Pookie of the week because he made me feel really good about my team, because that's a fun feat. When your team's not doing great, you have to rely on stats. And that's how I get through the season, is I rely on stats.
Absolutely.
Statistically, we were really good.
For sure. And he's someone I've had my eye on for a while, just because he has been having such a great year. So Shout out Carson. Love that.
Carson Ben, shout out.
So Danny, like I said before, you played a big role in the media viewing experience for a lot of kids growing up in the 90s. So what has been the biggest takeaway from that experience for you now that you're older?
How grainy the 90s were in the 4-3 format.
And you know what?
No, that's actually part of the nostalgia.
Exactly.
Right? You like if you're watching something on your computer and it only comes in on 4:3, you could like pretend that you were on like an old school DVD VCR that you had hidden in your bedroom.
Exactly.
I'll say this though, like for us at that age back then, that was clear. That was a hell of a lot clearer. Back then it was really clear.
Definitely. So out of all the projects that you did when you were younger, what do you typically get recognized for the most? I'm dying to know.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, it runs the spectrum of the younger, older kids, which I'm saying younger, older kids would be people born in 1990 or a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Would probably be that's definitely like an all that kid. If you had like the late Gen Xer, early millennial, 80 to 84, 86. We're talking lots of Pete and Pete. I feel like people who like Pete and Pete, it's like asking someone else if they like or know the show is kind of like a litmus test. To be like, are we cool? We're gonna be like can we be friends? Like right away?
Definitely.
It really feels that way. It's like, oh yeah, but did you watch Pete? Oh yeah. And then people are like, all right, we're buddy. And that's how I feel. Like 99% of my interactions are really positive and nice.
That's amazing.
I would feel a little strange if people were watching all that being like, it really like helped mold me into a janitor who likes to burp a lot and eat bubble gum from under the desk. That's like a little we're going. But Pete and Pete was like, oh, like the music on it, or like the weird guests that I didn't know were these like 70s New York City punk, post-punk icons. Now we're just like, we just like sprinkle them in. Like, oh, it's just Iggy Pop, and here's David Johansen from the New York Dolls, and Buster Poindexter, and Blondie, and all sorts of like really cool people that maybe in the moment you were like, oh, that's just some kooky lady with a beehive hairdo, and then later in life you're like, oh my gosh, that's This is nuts. That's not Debbie Harry from Blondie. I feel like all that was more of like a universal and probably a lot bigger than Pete and Pete, which seems to be sort of like niche. All the episodes are really great. I mean, the true love. If somebody who watched it as a fan and not because I was on it, certainly I love everything that I've done, but Pete and Pete has like the most special place in my heart.
Of course. And so, speaking of Pete and Pete, you have a podcast called The Adventures of Danny and Mike with your Pete and Pete co-star Michael Morona.
Yeah.
So, can you give the Gloveleys a little taste of what that's like and what kind of stuff you guys get into?
Oh, sure. Well, we've been a podcast for over a decade. Yeah, we started in 2014, I think. And the way we actually started was that we would go on adventures. Like, kind of the idea was like we go on like mundane, just silly little things. Like we went to George Washington's house in Morristown, New Jersey, or we went to Letchworth Village, which is an abandoned psych ward, and then we would have a guest on. So we basically do the adventure, and then we talk about the adventure with a guest comedian mostly. And we realized after about doing 10 of them that it was a lot of work. So then we just became a stream of conscious, just kind of shoot the breeze type thing with comedian guests or musicians or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And usually people would end up talking about Pete and Pete or something in some way, shape, or form. Because again, it all goes back to, do you know about that? Okay, so, I know this comedian. This guy's we have a connection here. And he's like, oh, I know, but I used to watch you on TV. Okay, cool. Let's talk about that. We can. So yeah, it's fun. We have a lot of episodes. You can go find our back catalog. We're working on how to maneuver 3.0 here because it's been about a year and change between our last podcast. Mike has 3 children. I have 2. And we both kind of daddy daycare when we're not working and have jobs that we need to do. So it's just been a little hard, but that's why we have a whole back catalog. And if you've never heard it, feel free go hang out in the Danny and Mike pod space.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. And what people really think is funny about it is that we really are like I've known him since 1989. Like we are brothers. We're not biologically, but we've had our ups. We've been friends forever. We didn't see each other for a long time. We're back to be friends. We've also been in fights. Like we wear our relationship on our sleeve in the pod too.
Yeah.
So really like people just get a kick out of like, I can't believe you guys are still friends. Like,
yeah, you had those formative years together, and that kind of like bonds you kind of for life, regardless of the ups and downs. It just kind of, unbreakable. So Lauren has told me that hockey is your favorite sport. I am curious, what are some of your other favorite sports teams? What made you fans of those teams, and what kind of like keeps you coming back to those teams?
Well, the Mighty Ducks made me a hockey fan. But before that, I was your, typical kid who didn't know too much about hockey, but knew who Wayne Gretzky was. So I liked the King.
Of course.
And then I got the Mighty Ducks, and we started doing that. I got number 2, and I was looking around for different players that I thought number 2 would be cool because I was going to be Brian Leach because I was not a Rangers fan. I wouldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Devil. I grew up Devils fan because of where I lived and how I could get to games. But I've watched Wayne Gretzky, and I liked Brett Hull. Mm-hmm. Brett Hull had a clip. So back in the 90s, there used to be Brute by Fabergé used to do like hockey segments on, I don't know, ESPN or somewhere. And it felt like it was like a third party. We'll just have your aftershave, give you all the highlights. I watched Brett Hull slap a puck into the plexiglass and spider it. He hit it so hard, and I was like, okay, that's my guy. So then I started looking at the St. Louis Blues, and then that got me to number 2, Garth Butcher, who was a great defenseman for them. And so I was like, okay, now I have 3 teams. I have an East Coast team, a Central team, and a West Coast team. And
there you go.
And I've been able to really stick with it, even though I've gotten so much flack for liking more than one team, and I can't do it, and what a problem it is. And it was a problem in 2011 when the Devils and the Kings played in the finals, and I was just kind of happy to watch. I wanted Brodeur to get one more, but the Kings had never gotten one, so I was like, oh. But again, I really keep tabs on those 3 teams in particular. But anyway, I could sit down and watch. Hockey is my favorite sport. I can sit down and watch anything. Like this playoff season wasn't great because the Devils didn't even get in. Kings got swept. Anze Kopitar couldn't win a game before he retired, and he was out of there at the end, and he was like spinning around, and then I was like, is this heated rivalry? Is like someone coming down? That's how I felt. I just wanted like something big to happen, and it didn't. I felt bad for him because he deserved to go out a little bit better than that. But they're a team that is glued together by like old veterans, and they need it. They need a little shakeup out there in Los Angeles.
Now, Hallie is a PWHL fan. Are you a PWHL fan as well?
I started watching and checking in on the Sirens. I know they didn't make it. They didn't perform that great this year. So I don't know who is. I'm very regional.
Montreal won.
Oh, Montreal won. Okay. Oh, that would have been great if both of them could have won. Oh my gosh, Montreal was only a couple of
They're going through their expansion draft right now, and there's a lot of drama going on. Lots of team shakeups, and no one is really happy or excited. we're all mad. As someone who lives for the drama, I'm very happy to be watching it.
I will be dipping in more. I guess last year they weren't always at Prudential Center in Newark.
They did a lot of exhibition games as well in cities that they weren't in. So that's also how they picked a lot of the expansion cities. So
that's actually a good idea. What I have watched, and kind of what I was telling my wife, and I want to take my kids to one of those games, and it's such a fast pace. It feels like watching like college hockey, which I find to be the fastest of all. Like you watch like the Golden Gophers play, and you're like,
I grew up going to Gophers games. Yeah.
Oh, I've been there. Someone gave me a Sherwood stick in like 1991. I still have it. I didn't play it. I was just excited to have it. It's maroon, and yet like it's
mm-hmm.
You're riding in Gopher colors. It's just really, really fast, and that was the first thing that I notice about watching.
The way the games go in the PWHL, I think is so much more engaging, so much more exciting than NHL games. But also, like, I'm not loyal to anyone in the NHL right now.
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, any true Minnesota hockey fan knows that it's the North Stars.
Yeah, of course. I don't know how in having Dallas play. I'm a New Jersey Nets fan who had to go to Brooklyn. When I roll up to those games, I'm in like my New Jersey gear. So I feel like a Brooklyn Dodger guy who like goes in Brooklyn Dodger gear to like the Mets games, the Dodgers. So I can only imagine like a real like true Minnesota North Star fan like having to deal with that and not having the Wild at the beginning. So maybe a lot of those people did go down to Dallas because they were a fan of the organization and the players on the team, and
it's hard, and that's why I'm so excited to have the Frost.
So, Danny, I am dying to know, how did you meet your wife, Caitlin? And how did you guys decide to start writing together?
Oh, well, we met on Tinder. We met on Tinder when Tinder was the only thing going, like app-wise.
Wow.
It's a love online story. Dating, but it was truly,
baby just swipe right.
It basically was. It was a swipe right situation, and yeah, that was it. And then we dated for a while, got married, and we decided that we were gonna she's an author. She's a YA author. She has 4 books that she's written on. She's also a literary agent, so she has a bunch of authors as clients. And one of her clients told us when she finally heard like the story of how we met and everything, she goes, that sounds like a good opening to a book. And I'm like, oh, maybe we could do that. That could be fun. And what started as let's just see what we could do turned into The First Date Prophecy, which was loosely based on our meet cute, but then everything else is a little different. But the characters are kind of like us, and the books are dual POV, so each chapter is from one person's perspective. And yeah, we went. I can tell you that in The First Date Prophecy, they go on their first date. I don't want to give away too much, but in the very beginning of the book, they go on this date, and there was a place in Brooklyn called Santos Anne's, which was like a really awesome French Mexican fusion place. And in the middle of the dining room, there was like riser, and there was a woman doing like tarot readings, which I thought was kind of a cool thing. In the book, they do something similar, but it's a full psychic reading, and it's like the oldest, and they bill her as Elvira, who's like the oldest psychic in New York City, and looks to be like Moses's younger sister, and very old. And that didn't happen. That never happened with us. We just went out on a date, and that was fun.
Oh.
We didn't do any of this.
Married to a
This
ghost.
is No, this is just part of for the book. But like, what happens then? But the idea of like, somebody giving you such heavy information, and then do you believe it? Not like we meet and we fall in love. Like it's a slow burn.
That's amazing.
That
Well,
is.
Melissa is going to break that down a little bit later in our recommended media segment. Spoiler alert.
Oh man, I shouldn't have.
Not that
sorry.
book though.
You had Road Trip Rewind. Oh, great.
Yes, I did.
Very cool. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, you're getting 2 for 1 here on
that's right.
Love Actually.
So, with your wife, Caitlin, what has been the most rewarding part of writing together? Is it revisiting those memories of when you guys first started dating, or, is it the creative process?
It's a little bit of both. Sure, the finding those pieces of you that you feel like would make the story better, or just that the cliche, write what you know. I mean, it is a real thing. I do believe in that. I feel like you find yourself with more confidence writing, or that you understand what you're trying to say a little bit better. But I also, as someone who's written shows and I've pitched numerous things in my life, and had a sketch group for a bunch of years and wrote a lot of sketches. I was actually a writer on all that the last season. They gave me credit because I turned 18. And I said I wanted to be in there, and but I was just really interested in the writing process, and it's very different writing a sketch or a screenplay or a teleplay, whatever you're doing is way different than writing a book. So the creativity between the two of us and the way that we create stuff is very comes from different places. Like Kate basically wrote her first book with just like off the dome, like I'm going to write stuff and like going to keep going, and I don't even know how this is going to end. I'm just creating in the moment, and I am like the opposite of that. Where like I as a musician, I'm very improvisational and play jazz and stuff, and I like spontaneity. But in terms of writing things, I am like, I need to know everything. I need to know where this character's going. I need his arc. I need to be looking at it. I need to see where the A plot is, the B, like all of that. So mashing those two styles together was really interesting, and it was eye-opening for me, and hopefully for Kate too. But I think there's something really cool about that. I mean, it was also in the midst of like having a newborn and us finding time, like when he would go to sleep, that we'd be like, okay, we're gonna write, and like,
Wow.
And because we are doing dual POVs, we were like have a discussion, like, okay, I'm writing chapter 4 now, you're writing chapter 5. Like, where do we see this going?
Mhm.
How do you think the end of chapter 5 is going to go? And here's what I'm thinking to like get things started. And we would write separately and then read together and see like, oh, like we did this right, or oh, cool that you did. I'm going to change this because you have this happening. And I've always been a creative person that works with others. I've always been very collaborative, and while she's really just been doing stuff on her own. So I think that was maybe not the most difficult, but like watching her kind of like, oh, yeah, like, is just a different process. Not having to have someone be like, oh, is that right? Like, should we talk about that? And it got harder in the second book because the second book is time travel related, and that you gotta like really think about. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love that. That is too cool. Because that's what I was wondering. I was like, did you write the male character's point of view, and then she wrote the female character's point of view? Like, I was kind of curious how that worked. So
yeah, for the most, and I think again, like having the first book be a little more autobiographical in character,
easier.
It is much easier to kind of like pull stuff out.
Yeah. I love that.
Danny, last thing before we move on to your rapid fire quiz, I would love to know, what are your blind World Series predictions?
Blind World Series predictions. It seems like nobody can stop Atlanta. So I feel like
I know, I hate it.
It's really driving me nuts. I'm not here for it. I'll tell you, that's the team I dislike the most.
Me too.
My entire tenure as a baseball fan.
I'm
You
a
know, like
certified Braves hater.
Yeah, this, you know, like the Phillies and the Mets, it's only been a thing for like 20 years. Like it really wasn't anything beforehand. Nobody mess around with the Nationals or the Marlins unless the Mets are trying to, like, you know, make fun of the Marlins on the last day of the season and they play well and then they knock them out of the playoffs. It just happened more than once. It's just like, I can't believe this. Like, again, like, oh, they have a chance. They're going to do it. And they just chirp, 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 chirp. And then
Mhm.
You're not
they
going to do
decide to
it.
play well. But yeah, I unfortunately think that Atlanta will do it. On the West against the Dodgers, it would be a good NLCS if it's Dodgers and Atlanta. But I just feel like it's not. I'm over it. I'm over the Dodgers. And I've been over Atlanta since 1987.
I heard that. You never.
But hey, you know, who knows? They could go on a big run. I don't really think about anything until after the All-Star break anyway.
It's
Exactly.
You know,
It's true.
right now the Mets are 15 and a half back.
That's only
still time to
15 and a
catch
half
up.
back.
Yeah, it's not
exactly.
bad. They have at least 12 more games with Atlanta, right? Or at least
I think
something
so.
like that. Yeah, that can catch up.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's fine. All right. Well, you know what? If the Pirates don't make the World Series, I'm going to root for the Mets.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So
I usually would
just
just say
me.
the Mets are always going to win the World Series, but I was trying to be honest with you guys.
listen,
We appreciate that.
we welcome the delusion here on Glove actually
Oh, good.
because we are a bunch of Orioles fans. So
Yeah.
All of you.
Yeah.
Are you all from Baltimore?
I'm from Baltimore. Melissa lives in Maryland. Hallie's from Minnesota, so she's a Twins fan. But
Right,
Hallie
right.
and I live in Florida, so we are also Rays adjacent. But my favorite player plays for the Pirates, so I got a lot going on.
See, and look, and you're managing it very well. I'd like to take a clip of this podcast where you saying that for all of my friends that talk smack about all the different hockey teams that I have to follow, and I only really should watch one. I only can be a fan of one team.
Well, it sounds
That's
like they're not-
baloney. That's
It's-
misinformation.
And what I have to
Mhm.
say to that is if you can only like one team, maybe you don't actually like the sport that much.
Boom, roasted. Mic drop.
Or maybe you just don't like it as much as we do.
There you go.
Exactly. All right, Danny. Thank you so much for giving us a glimpse into your life and all the things that you love. So now that we've gotten to kind of dig a little bit, Hallie's going to dig a little deeper. We're going to give you some rapid fire questions so that the Glovelies can get to know you a little bit more. Are you ready?
Yeah, let me just do a little stretch. Okay. All right.
All right.
Do
Take it
your
away,
worst.
Hallie.
Do your worst.
All right. What is your favorite sport?
Ice hockey.
And what's your favorite team?
I'm going to say the LA Kings.
All right. Who is your current favorite active athlete?
There's too many.
One per sport.
One per sport? Right. Well, Drew Doughty.
Mhm.
Get him out of the way. I would say in baseball, it's still the polar bear. I can't help it. I can't quit him.
Yeah, we love the polar
I
bear.
I can't quit him. You guys are enjoying him. Take care of him. Make sure he's treated nice.
Who is your favorite athlete of all time?
I was a big Patrick Roy fan. I had posters of him and Gretzky all over my walls. Brett Hull we talked about. Those are my. And I mean, as a Giants fan, Lawrence Taylor for sure. Chris Callaway, an underrated wide receiver who I love very much. I got to meet once as a kid, and like that's forever ingrained in my brain that he was such a nice guy. Chris Callaway, you are my favorite.
Perfect way to pick a favorite, I think. How do you take your coffee?
Black or with a little bit of oat milk, just to poison my gut some more.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Yeah, I mean, I could tell you it's Big Lebowski. I could tell you it's Caddyshack. Mostly those two. Those are kind of like depending on my mood, but those are my answers.
Do you have a hidden talent?
I can play ping pong with my eyes. It's really not great podcast fodder, but I can move. I can manipulate my eyeballs singularly. If you want to look,
Whoa.
I can give you a show.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Eyeballs creep me
Ah!
out.
And I might have done that on Figure It Out. So that's like 30 years
I was
ago.
gonna say
I've
that
been doing it
sounds
for a
like
while.
that seems like a figure it out style
It's a
talent.
very, very Figure It Out style talent. Yeah.
When you go to the sporting events, do you have a favorite snack?
A favorite snack at a sporting event? Usually it's a premio sausage. I gotta get the spicy one too. I don't want the mild. I need the spicy premio with the onions and the peppers on it.
Hell yeah. If you played baseball, what would your walk-up song be?
Oh, that's a good question.
I can tell you if you played Banana Ball, they would probably walk you up to the All That theme song.
Probably. That's a good one. That's a good one. If I was going based on what I think would be cool, I think it would be Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC.
Ooh.
Good one.
Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. And then I would strike out.
Nice.
And looking too, just like Carlos Beltran did in 2006 when I was at that last game of the NLCS Game 7 with my back against the chain link fence at Shea Stadium. When Eddie Chavez caught that ball and the whole stadium erupted, and I'd never felt like collective energy like that before. And then he blew it, and Yadier Molina blew it for us. I don't care that it was 20 years ago. It still hurts and stings.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
You know, I was going to ask if that was your favorite of all your sports memories.
Hey, and that's probably my favorite sports memory was Andy Chavez catching that ball. And being in person.
Too good. Oh my gosh. Well, Danny, thank you so much for letting us dig into your brain a little bit more. Are you down to join us for this week's top 5?
Sure, let's do it.
Perfect. Okay. So in honor of Danny being here, because he is the king of all of your nostalgic favorites, we are going to dive right into our top 5 of the week. This week's top 5 is going to be top 5 things that we miss about the 90s.
Everything.
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 Quite literally.
Amen, sir.
I think everything, if I'm being completely honest. But Melissa, would you like to start us off with your number 5?
Yes, I'm going to start off with something very, very specific, and it is Jell-O pudding pops.
Wow.
What
Okay.
the hell happened to Jell-O pudding pops? I don't know why they're gone, but we need to bring those mofos back.
We said the Jell-O pudding pops, you gotta put them in your mouth and go,
That was like biblically accurate, Bill Cosby.
It was. Bring them back, man. I don't care who was advertising for them. They were friggin' delicious.
They were very good.
All right, Hallie, what you got for number 5?
There was no AI in the 90s. And that's what I meant.
Period.
Amen.
For my number 5, I went with Walt Disney World and theme parks in general. I could literally soapbox about this for hours. I grew up going to Walt Disney World. In the 90s, it was a completely different experience than it is today. And I think most theme parks are. Every roller coaster has to be higher, further, faster, what have you. But not just that, like the experience for every theme park somehow revolves around your cell phone now, which sucks and takes away so much of the spontaneity of going and enjoying a theme park. And then Fast Pass, Express Pass, Flash Pass, whatever it's called, wherever you go, that's also just kind of like it's
commodified. It's
Yes.
commodified.
Well,
And we should all be sitting and standing in line together and
Well, 'cause the
commiserating
product is your time, not
commiserating that it's a
actual
long
event.
line, but we're going to get through
Yeah.
it together.
Mhm.
like God intended.
Yeah.
Yep.
I dig that.
So, Melissa, let's get your number 4.
I miss the toys and the books.
Ooh.
OG Nintendo, the Game Boy, board games like Mall Madness, Super Soaker, Slip and Slide, Skip Its, the Talk Boy, Cabbage Patch Kids, Hot Wheels. And then when you're getting the books, the Babysitters Club books. And YA was like this was the beginning of YA. You had Fear
Super
Street, you had
Fudge?
Christopher Pike, you had Goosebumps, the scary stories to read in the dark. I mean,
Cook.
yes.
You're going off.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was
You're talking to Jackie Radowski from the Babysitters Club. The VHS.
Yes, that's
Yes,
true.
that's right.
I was one of the hard to deal with babysitties.
I remember that. Actually, my daughter's been watching that too. Oh my god, that's right. Oh
Yeah.
my god. But I guess my point is like toys were toys. Books entertained you, and we did not have the damn phone readily available to give us everything back then.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
Hallie, what you got for number 4?
What I have for number 4 is pre 9/11 country music.
Okay.
To sum it up briefly, as after 9/11, a lot of country music rapidly shifted to aggressively patriotic, aggressively like misogynist. It all started kind of sounding the same as all the hits started sounding the same. In recent years, it's sort of getting back to having something more interesting to say. We're clawing our way back. That it wasn't always like this.
For my number 4, I gotta go with all the cool things I got to do in elementary school, aka stuff like field day. Most importantly, the Scholastic Book Fair. I know the Scholastic Book Fair still exists, but it's different. We all know it's different.
When my kids come home with like toys and stuff, they're like, like have like a pamphlet in it. They're like, it's a book. I'm like, this is not a book.
No, it's not a book.
Legally, this is not a book. There was the magic of going to the Scholastic Book Fair, and I no longer feel that same magic. And it's probably just because I'm not in elementary school. So, all right, Melissa. So let's get your number 3. Where are we at?
The clothes. I miss the clueless look. I miss guys making baggy clothes look good. I'm sorry, but there's something about baggy jeans, polos, and a backward baseball cap. I also miss the scents. I miss herbal essences. I miss Bath and Body Works. I miss Tommy Boy cologne.
Wow.
I miss it. And let me tell you, there was nothing like cracking open a magazine back in the day and the
Yes.
I'm also, Melissa, I'm just glad that you said that you specified with baggy jeans.
Oh my God.
Baggy jeans, I loved. I really thought that I could pull off baggy corduroys, but it didn't work as well because you hear everybody walking halfway down the hall.
When skinny jeans came in, I was like, oh God, no, I can't do this. Like, I grew up with just the baggy look. I was like, I can't, it's got to be the baggy look for me. Anybody wearing skinny stuff, I can't do it. It's not right.
All right, Hallie, what's your number 3 going to be?
My number 3 is something I was not alive for its original run of, but I absolutely adore, and that's Twin Peaks. My ringtone is the Twin Peaks theme song. I don't remember how old I was the first time I watched an episode of Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks changed my brain chemistry. I was so sad when David Lynch died. Courtney knows I was inconsolable for like a week.
It's true.
And what a gift. What a weird old man. I hope you're having lots of cigarettes and good black coffee.
So my number 3, I gotta go no social media. Connecting with people is great, but I feel like back in the 90s and even the early 2000s, before social media really took off, you had to find your own ways to connect with the world. And I feel like that kind of colored everyone in shades that were a lot more interesting than what we see now. That's my hot take.
Yeah, I like being able to just play Snake.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was fun. Somebody actually called you.
Oh my
All
God.
right, we got to lock in. So let's go
I'm
ahead
ready.
and Melissa, let's get your number 2.
All right, my number 2, kids, TV, and movies. And I'm not just saying that because Danny is here. It's truly how I feel. I miss everything that was Nickelodeon in the 90s. I miss the shows, the cartoons, Nick at Night. I miss TGIF. TGIF was amazing. I miss all of the quality movies that came out of that era. And I think the best thing about that era is we had variety, which, my parents did not necessarily have, without the convenience of streaming. So it was the best of times because you know what? Yes, you knew you had some shows that you loved. However, you had to plan your day and make sure that you were watching the TV at the time, and it had to be available. And of course, the shows like Pete and stuff, it wasn't always a new episode either. It was sometimes a repeat, and you were just watching repeats constantly. So,
not to skip the line, but movies specifically was my number 2. The Disney Renaissance was happening in the 90s. There were a ton of nostalgic favorites like The Sandlot, obviously. We The Sandlot, but I feel like nowadays a lot of what you see is sequels, reboots, stuff that hinges on the power of a franchise. So it just doesn't feel as exciting to me as the original material we were getting in the 90s. So
100%.
All right, Hallie, let's get your number 2.
My number 2 is 90s patterned carpets, like as seen in bowling alleys and movie theaters and malls and all those places. I love 90s carpet. I think it is so cool and fun. We need to bring that back in corporate settings. Who gives a Just have the stupid carpet at your stupid computer job. We're like, nothing is real. Give us back fun carpet.
Okay. All right. We have come to our number one picks. Melissa, what you got for number one?
The music. There is just something about 90s music. The pop, the alternative, hip hop, rap, the return of swing in the late 90s, and the endless number of number ones. It is unmatched in my book. And just as my honorable mention to go with that, I miss the good old days where every single teenage boy would do whatever they could to build up the back of their car with the bass that would shake their whole car and every single car around it just so they could listen to their rap as high as they could. It was unmatched. I miss those.
There you go.
I mean, we probably can't hear anything now, but they were good times.
All right. Hallie, what's your number one going to be?
It's going to have to be that I was an actual child under the age of 10. I miss not knowing what bills are and having to go to work and stuff. I would love to be a child playing with my Beanie Babies and doing soap operas for them while my parents aren't watching.
Yeah.
The innocence of childhood. Got it. All right. My number one is going to be similar to Hallie's, but it's the way that summer felt. I don't know why. Summer in the 90s just hit different. Probably because I was a kid and I had no responsibilities. But these days, I feel like summer, there's so much pressure to entertain kids and for kids to have something to do rather than just letting kids find ways to entertain themselves. That's what I did when I was a kid. I found ways to entertain myself.
Yeah.
Playing in my backyard and stuff.
Baby telenovela.
Exactly.
And while we're at it, schools, all of you that are out there assigning kids homework over the summer, go yourselves. It's summer. They're not supposed to be doing any work. I know you're going to cut that, but I just needed to get that out.
Damn.
Actually,
Because,
I'm keeping it in. Anyway, all right. So,
Sorry.
Lovelies, let us know, what did you think of our top 5 picks? What do you miss most about the 90s? Were you alive in the 90s? I would love to know. Please let us know in the comments. All right, Lovelies, I would love to take a moment to shout out the amazing Danny Tamberelli for joining us today and making all of our 90s dreams come true. Danny, where can our listeners find you if they want to follow more of your content?
Oh, you can go to my Instagram at Danny Tamberelli, and it will tell you all the things that I'm doing. Some feature stuff happening. There's a new record for my band Jounce. You can go to jounce.org if you want to listen, or Spotify, wherever you listen to your music, we pop up. And yeah, get our books wherever you want the books to go, wherever you like them, you can get them. We also did an audiobook with Mara Wilson and I reading the books to you. So if you feel like being read to, I can facilitate that as well.
Yes.
Fun. So yes, he's got something for all the music lovers. He's got something for the 90s fans. Don't forget that he has his podcast with Michael Morona, and he's got books for the book lovers. So Danny, thank you so much for being here. You are welcome back to the pod anytime. We are so grateful to have you with us today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me and letting me share some fandom with you guys.
Oh, you're the best. You're the best. All right, lovely. So before we wrap up, as always, we are going to leave you with some recommended media for this week. A very special recommended media for this week, in fact, brought to you by our very own Melissa over at No Regrets Reader. Take it away, Melissa.
So this week, we're talking about a time-traveling rom-com that Danny wrote with his wife, Kate Tamberelli, called Road Trip Rewind. So speaking of 90s nostalgia, this book fits in perfectly with our 90s theme, complete with a time-traveling Volkswagen Jetta named Delilah that transports our main characters back to 1999. So your plot, it's 2016, and Beatrix is, in a way, living the dream. She's the author of a successful screenplay currently in production with a stellar cast. However, it's also her nightmare because the screenplay is based on dramatic events in her own life, a murder mystery where her father/best friend is the suspect. And her ex-boyfriend Rocco, whom Beatrix dated briefly in 1999, has also been cast to play her father. And even better, Rocco does not recognize her, nor seem to have any recollection that they dated back in the good old 1900s. So, despite not remembering his dating history with Beatrix, Rocco sees the brilliance of the screenplay and how important the movie is to her, and seeks out her advice on how to best portray her father. And thus begins a series of events that lead Rocco to hitching a ride with Beatrix in her 2000 Jetta, a drive down Sunset Boulevard, Rocco suddenly remembering their dating history, and a Back to the Future-like transportation to 1999. Back to the exact time they both made life-altering mistakes. Beatrix Beatrix in her relationship with her father, and Rocco in his relationship with Beatrix. After a couple days of shock and adjusting to reverting in time, Beatrix and Rocco watch their former selves from afar and realize they have the chance to correct some of the mistakes they made, while their future selves fall in love all over again. But as any reader of time traveler romance knows, when you alter events in the past, things are going to be different when you make it back to the future. So when Rocco and Beatrix do finally make it back to 2016, it's up to them to navigate the altered reality that now exists and determine whether their new relationship can survive in the present. So this was a fun book filled with humor, a little bit of drama that tugs at your heartstrings, and plenty of 90s nostalgia, complete with an implied cameo of Danny himself. Beatrix and Rocco attend a party where the cast of All That is in attendance, and I quote, including the redhead boy, Danny something? So if you're a millennial like me and you appreciate some of the things I literally just said I missed about the 90s, the music, the media, the complete lack of dependence on technology, this book is for you. Beatrix and Rocco aren't the only ones time traveling in this book. The reader time travels too. So if you're curious about my ratings, I gave it 4.5 stars and 2 chili peppers. And it's one of 2 books that Katie and Danny have published together, like Danny mentioned. And I definitely plan on reading the other book. That one is called The First Date Prophecy. So I'll read that one as well. But this was a fun read, and it is super fun to have Danny here.
Yes. Oh my God, I love it. All right, Melissa. Well, if the Glovelies want to make recommendations of their own, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram and Facebook at no_regrets_reader.
All right. Well, Glovelies, that's going to do it for this episode of Glove Actually. Once again, I would love to thank the incomparable Danny Tamberelli for joining us. And thank you all for listening. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to the Glove Actually podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to turn on post notifications to stay in the loop when we post new episodes every Wednesday. All right, ladies, what are we looking forward to most this week in the world of baseball? Who do you hope has fun this week? Hallie?
Well, as mentioned, the PWHL expansion draft and draft are currently going on. So I hope the Minnesota Frost has fun this week, and I hope we rebuild the team.
Period. I love it. Melissa, who do you hope has fun this week?
I have 2 personal. I hope Mini Melissa is having fun this week. Tomorrow, she will leave for 6 weeks of camp, which is 10 hours and 4 states away. And she will be in a complete technology lockdown while she's there. No phone, no internet, no TV. The only thing she can watch is movies on her counselor's laptop and when they have movie nights. So she has no way of getting Orioles updates. She'll only get them from us when we can finally send her messages on week 3. So I just want to say, my little Mini Melissa, your dad and I are so proud of you. You're so brave and confident, and you're going to accomplish amazing things in your life. Have an incredible summer. Do great things. Have so much fun. And please remember to put on your sunscreen and drink lots of water. And then also, real quick, I just want to wish my dad a happy Father's Day because it is our Father's Day episode. So I know he listens from time to time. So he doesn't follow baseball, but I do remember the one time that I went to Fenway. He took me. I was super young, and I remember sitting in his lap and being bored as hell watching the game. Clearly, my love of baseball has matured since then, but I hope you appreciate that I remember that, Dad. Love you.
So as Melissa mentioned, it is our Father's Day episode. Father's Day is going to be coming up this weekend. So in honor of that, I hope my dad has fun this week.
Hi, Todd.
My dad is the reason I love baseball so much. And over the last couple of years since I've really gotten back into baseball, it's been a really nice way that we have stayed connected. And I don't know if I mentioned it on the pod, but I've made a reel about it. My dad and I every day are predicting the Baltimore Orioles lineup for the day whenever they have a game. So that has been something that's really fun that we've been able to do together. And
yay, Todd.
Yeah, Hallie got to go to some games with me and my dad last year. And yeah, he's just a real cool, smart fella. And he's not a fart smella. So I had to throw a dad joke in there somehow. So happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Daddy. I love you. So in addition to my dad, want to wish all the dads out there, including Danny, a happy Father's Day. And especially to all the first-time MLB dads, like my Pookie Ryan O'Hearn. Hope you have a good first Father's Day. So with that being said, this has been Glove Actually. I'm Courtney.
I'm Hallie.
And I'm Melissa.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great week, Glovelies. Happy Father's Day. And as always, be kind, keep it cute, and stay Glovely.
Stay Glovely.